What is up, guys? Marcellus Williams, aka TheSwolefessor, head of education on health, fitness, and social well-being. Today, guys, we're talking about tempo and time under tension.
I am the greatest.
Someone with color! Someone with color! Someone with dash! Someone with color!
Alright, so a lot of you requested this topic because you understand that I put so much emphasis on the importance of progressive overload, but you've been wondering, okay, but how does tempo and time under tension play into that? Because the progressive overload really is key. Why is there all this information out here about the importance of, time under tension and the tempo and how long should the tempo be and everything like that. So that's why we're going to get into that today, guys. And I'm going to be giving you some examples, be showing you some examples using the dumbbells and everything like that. So first thing we're going to go over is tempo, guys. So understand that tempo is basically just how long it takes for you to complete a set in terms of the amount of time you're putting on the concentric part of the motion, which is when we're working against gravity. For example, we're coming up on a curl, we're working against gravity, and then the time it takes you to complete the eccentric part of the motion, where we're working with gravity. So when we're lowering the dumbbells down, allowing gravity to pull us down. And basically, guys, tempo is just, how many seconds should you spend on each part of that movement. Now, there's going to be a lot of, things out there in terms of, like, some people say, oh, a set of, like 8 to 10 shouldn't take you longer than 20 seconds. Some people are going to say, oh, it should be like 30 to 40 seconds to maximize the tension, everything like that. Guys, understand this, that your tempo is going to first and foremost be dependent upon what you're doing. Obviously, someone who's, powerlifting or doing some type of explosive movement, their tempo is probably going to need to be a little bit faster than someone who's maybe focused more on bodybuilding and just really getting a good squeeze in the muscle, etc., things like that. But regardless, guys, tempos are usually over-exaggerated in the sense of, first and foremost, understand this. So in terms of the concentric part of the movement, there is no scientific evidence showing any type of benefit to going very slow on the concentric part of the movement, meaning when we're coming up. And at the same time, there has been shown to be benefit, but maybe not as much as what we originally thought, to going slower on the eccentric part of the motion. So basically, you want to control the weight throughout the entire movement, but you want to explode coming up and control it more so coming down. So, for example, take these dumbbells right here. A good tempo, guys, is going to be something that I like to put in the 3 count. So basically, coming up 1 second, coming down 2. So if we're curling, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. And we're doing it just like that for the reason being, guys, that once again, we've got that explosiveness coming up on the concentric part of the motion, but we are still having a little bit more control going down with the eccentric part of the motion. And that's because, guys, when we're doing the eccentric part of the motion, that's what's really tearing into our muscle fibers, really breaking the muscles down. As you guys know, if you've been watching our previous videos, that's how we build muscle up and get stronger. We break the muscles down and they recover and build up a little bit stronger than before. So the basic tempo, guys, that I like to use is a 1, 2, 3. Now, obviously, if you're doing a variation of some sort, you can go a little bit slower. For example, if we're doing something where we're doing a brief pause at the top to focus on the contraction. So it'll be like 1, 2, 3, then go down. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3, then go down. 1, 2, 3. Now, in terms of the benefit, once again, we still exploded on the concentric part of the motion, but we were holding that contraction just to really get a good squeeze in the muscle. And then we're coming down slower. 1, 2, 3. The problem is, guys, people getting this idea of tempo somehow being more important than progressive overload, in the sense of they think that because if I just take my time, boom, 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 and then go back down slow, boom, 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 that's gonna basically just build up more muscle tissue. But at the end of the day, guys, that's gonna very much limit the load that you can do, the amount of weight that you're moving. As we know, progressive overload works in terms of the amount of weight we can move first, then the amount of reps we can do, then the amount of volume. So by sacrificing the load you can be doing, you're just hurting yourself in the long run, because you're going very slow. And a lot of people feel like, oh, but I feel the muscle working more. All that is, guys, is lactic acid. When we go slower on the motions, we cause a greater increase of lactic acid, and that's what you're feeling. That's that burn you're feeling in the muscle. Not so much your muscles are working harder or stimulating more growth or anything like that, because as I said, guys, your muscles aren't actually growing while you're working out anyway. They grow while you're resting. That's not what you're feeling. So in terms of tempo, guys, it's just something nice and balanced. You want to explode on the concentric and control the eccentric. That may be a little faster or slower depending on what you're doing, but the whole idea of just a crazy slow tempo is going to give you like this whole new world of gains. Not so, guys, because at the end of the day, even if you get to the point where you're doing like 15, 20 reps like this, slow, slow, that doesn't matter if you could have been doing, 3 sets of 10 reps with 20 more pounds than that. That's going to give you way more benefit in terms of muscle growth. Now, in terms of time under tension, guys, that just comes down really to proper form in the sense of, once again, we're controlling the eccentric going down, right? That's where the tension comes from. But some of you may have heard the saying that muscles don't know weight, they only know tension. See, a lot of people take that the wrong way and take that in terms of, so increasing the weight doesn't matter. I just need to, increase the tension. But what all that means, guys, is basically during different parts of the motion with any lift, there's a harder part and then there's the easier part, right? For example, once again, using the dumbbells. When we're coming up, this part to here is easy. The hard part comes when we get to this point. And then usually it's a little bit hard. In fact, you know what? Let's go a little bit heavier. Give you guys a better example. These only go up to 50, so it's not that heavy for me, but to give you a better example, right? Just watch the pattern. You'll notice I'm coming up. The first half of the movement comes up pretty quickly. The harder part is going to be the second half. So it's like, boom. Easy, gets a little bit harder, boom. It's easy, then it gets a little bit harder, boom. Easy, then it gets a little bit harder, boom. Like that, right? So, because of that, guys, because there's parts of the motion where it's harder, that's the part where we have the most tension on the muscle. So the importance of that tension, guys, that time under tension is going to come from using a complete full range of motion. Because obviously, if the hardest part is from here to here on this exercise, then if I'm only coming to here, there's not much tension. There's like, I'm literally skipping the part of the movement that has the most tension, which is going to be from here to here. And that's the importance of time under tension. Basically, if somebody's only doing half reps to here, and they just keep progressively, oh, I got 3 sets of 10 doing this, and they keep progressively overloading, that's obviously not going to give them as much benefit doing 50-pound dumbbells for curls like this isn't going to give you as much benefit as maybe doing 40s or 30s where you're getting that full range of motion, right? Because that full range of motion is going to put the most tension on your muscle throughout the entire movement, and that's the importance of that, guys. But it doesn't mean that you don't progressively overload, because let's say you get to the point where you're using a certain amount of weight, full range of motion, right? Well, a lot of people think, okay, so I just need to increase the tension. So just go, once again, slower, slower, slower. But that's not as beneficial as actually just increasing the weight by 5 or 10 pounds and then keeping that range of motion, getting that tension. Now, the last thing I want to cover, guys, is this kind of gets into the whole concept of, okay, but what about the lockout and things like that? Because a lot of people say, oh, you shouldn't lock out in order to keep time under tension. Well, really, guys, the easiest part of the movement, obviously, is the lockout. That's the strongest part of the movement. But it's not something that you have to skip out on in order to keep your muscles under tension. It's just a matter of not staying there too long, in the sense of, once again, using the dumbbells, if I do this, right, and I stay here for a while, it's giving my muscles time to rest. Whereas if I'm just going, boom, as soon as I lock out, I'm back down. Boom, boom, boom. Then that's going to pretty much give me the benefits that come with the lockout, which is the strongest part of the movement, meaning that's where we're going to get the strongest contraction. Because if I stop right here, guys, right here, and don't fully lock out, I'm not getting the strongest contraction I could, because the strongest contraction is going to be at the lockout of the movement right here, boom. Or if it was on the bench press and I was pressing up, if I stop right here, yeah, it seems like there's still tension on my pecs, but at what part am I going to get the best contraction? Boom, right here. Like, I don't know if you guys can hear. I don't know if you guys can see this. Let me see if you can see this, but it's like, boom, right there. My arms are locked out, the chest is tight. That's where you're going to get the greatest contraction. The point is, just don't stay there that long. As soon as you're locked out, boom, get that contraction, go back down. So that's how that works in terms of lockout. Now, if you are someone who decides that you just don't want to trust that, even though there's a lot of science behind it, the key is you don't have to necessarily go all the way to lockout, but you don't want to half rep either. You don't want to stop to like right here on bench. You still want to get to about at least right here, and you just don't have that full lockout. But in actuality, guys, that lockout, so long as it's very quick, very efficient, isn't going to take away from your time under tension. And remember, a full range of motion is going to be most beneficial for your growth anyway, because you're putting that muscle through the full stretch and contraction. You can't do that without the lockout. So that's pretty much it, guys. That's how tempo works. That's how time under tension works. As far as a set number for, like I said, like the tempo and stuff like that, it's all dependent upon what you're doing. But just keep in mind, you want a fast, explosive, concentric, a nice tight squeeze at the lockout, very brief, but nice tight squeeze, and then you want to control the eccentric for about 2 to 3 seconds is a good range to go. Now, if you're purposely going extremely slow because you're doing a variation of movement, let's say you're coming up and you're pausing on your curls, and then you're doing like a 5-second count, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's totally okay if that's the variation of movement you're doing, but keep in mind, even with that, when you get to where you can do 3 sets of 10 or 3 sets of 12, whatever your set and rep range is, doing the motion like that, boom, then nice and slow. You still want to increase the weight. You don't want to just keep continuously trying to increase reps or keep continuously trying to increase the tension by increasing the time over and over, for the mere fact that that's not as beneficial with growing your muscles or getting stronger as gradually adding weight to the bar. So at the end of the day, guys, tempo, tension, excellent tools, but it still doesn't top progressive overload. That is always going to be the key for growth and strength for natural lifters. Because the fact is, if someone's just going through a nice, steady, full range of motion, even if they're not really like, pausing anywhere, they're just going through a nice full range of motion, but they're still controlling it. I'm not talking about doing something. I'm not talking about this. No, but like they're controlling it. Boom. See, it's not taking me very long. I'm getting through the motion very quickly, but you can still see I'm controlling it. Full range of motion, progressive overload. You're gonna grow. You're gonna get stronger. Just keep that in mind, guys. Tension and tempo are just two excellent tools that can be utilized to help you with your gains, but they are not at all on the same level as progressive overload with the end-all be-all. And so long as you're using proper form, guys, then you're pretty much gonna have the whole tempo and tension thing down regardless. Because like I said, proper form is gonna include controlling the weight. If you're just doing this, you're not controlling the weight, it's not proper form. And remember that, guys. Progressive overload means, hey, we hit a certain amount of sets for a certain amount of reps with proper form, then we increase the weight. Anyway, guys, that is it for this video. I know it's kind of a little bit all over the place, but it's a little bit hard, when I have to set up the recording and do all this by myself. But you know what? It's all good. I hope it helped you out. Hope it benefits you guys. If it did, leave a comment down below letting me know that it did. If it didn't, and you want more explanations or a deeper understanding, then drop your question down below. Like the video, share, subscribe. Keep it simple, specific, scientific. I'll catch y'all later.
I am the greatest.
Someone look color. Someone look color. Someone with